Most women have, at one point or another, woken up with a jolt, a disquieting whisper in the recesses of their mind, the ghost of a past lover. He was there, in your sleep, a character in a story you thought was long over. Perhaps he was a shadowy figure, or maybe he was rendered in such vivid, heartbreaking detail that the line between waking and dreaming blurred for a painful moment. The question inevitably surfaces, why him? Why now? A simple Google search offers platitudes about unresolved feelings or a desire to return to the past. But the subconscious mind is not a simple almanac of emotions. It's a vast, mythological landscape where archetypes dance, where the shadow lurks, and where the self speaks in symbols and parables. To truly understand this dream, you must look beyond the man himself and turn your gaze inward. This isn't about him, it's about a part of you. The X in your dream is rarely the man you knew. Instead, he is a projection, a vessel for a deeper psychological truth. He is a symbol, a key to a locked chamber within your own psyche. The conscious mind, the ego, wishes to believe the past is a closed book. But the unconscious, a wellspring of forgotten desires and unintegrated experiences, has other ideas. It's an inner theater where old scripts are replayed, not to relitigate a failed relationship, but to highlight a missing or wounded part of the self. He is the manifestation of the anima, the male unconscious principle within a woman. He is the inner man, the part of you that perhaps you've neglected, the part that is seeking integration. Think of the dream's setting. Was it a familiar place, a time capsule from the relationship, or was it a strange, new landscape? The environment is the emotional and psychological state the dream is illuminating. If it was a place of comfort, perhaps you are yearning for a sense of security that you've lost, a feeling of being seen and held. But if it was a dark, unsettling place, your subconscious may be signaling that there is a wound there, a scar that needs tending. The X is simply the signpost, pointing to the location of the psychological work that needs to be done. It's an invitation to engage with your own past, not as a victim of it, but as an alchemist, transforming the lead of old pain into the gold of wisdom and self-awareness. So, what is this shadow work you are being called to do? It is the terrifying, beautiful, and necessary act of facing the parts of yourself you have rejected or disowned. The man in your dream might represent a quality you admire but deny in yourself, perhaps his strength, his creativity, or his confidence. Or, more painfully, he might represent a weakness you project onto others, a codependency, a need for external validation, a lack of self-worth. You see it in him, but it is truly a mirror reflecting a part of your own being that is screaming for attention. The dream is not about rekindling a romance. It is a summons to integrate these fragmented pieces of your own soul. It is a demand to stop looking for a man to complete you and to start the arduous, sacred task of completing yourself. The Stoics knew this truth. You cannot control the external world, but you have absolute power over your inner one. Your subconscious, in its wild, mythological language, is simply reminding you that the only true freedom comes from conquering yourself. You are being asked to engage with a question far more profound than "Does he miss me?" The real question is, what part of me is missing? The dream is a test. Will you be like a small child, reaching for the comforting illusion of a past connection? Or will you be a warrior, an archetypal queen, ready to descend into the underworld of your own psyche to retrieve the lost pieces of your power? The X dream, therefore, is an initiation. It is the labyrinth of the soul, and the ghost of the past lover is merely the minotaur, the beast you must face and slay to find your way out and into a new, more integrated sense of self. It is a moment of truth, a raw encounter with your own capacity for self-deception and your potential for profound growth. The dream is not about him coming back, it's about you coming back to yourself. It's about retrieving the energy, the time, and the emotional investment you poured into that past dynamic and redirecting it inward into the fertile soil of your own becoming. The archetypal analysis goes deeper. The anima, as a symbol, is not just the inner man, it represents a bridge to the unconscious. The X as an anima figure can manifest in a few powerful ways, each pointing to a specific internal need. Was he a powerful, commanding figure? Perhaps you are seeking to reclaim your own personal power, your ability to make decisions and command your own life. Was he a passive, wounded figure in the dream? This could be your psyche's way of showing you that you have carried the emotional burden of the relationship long after it ended, and that it's time to release that weight. Or perhaps he was an idealized, perfect version of himself, a vision of the Prince Charming. This is a stark warning from your psyche that you are still projecting your unfulfilled needs and romantic fantasies onto an external figure, rather than cultivating those qualities within yourself. This is the ultimate trap, the endless cycle of chasing an external savior only to find that no one can save you but you. This is where the Stoic philosophy of radical self-reliance converges with Jungian psychology. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, would argue that the dream is a form of premeditatio malorum, a contemplation of a past affliction, but with a purpose. It's a dress rehearsal for emotional resilience. The feeling of longing or regret you might feel upon waking is not a sign of weakness. It is an emotional data point. Instead of resisting it, you must observe it, without judgment, as a Stoic would observe an external event. What is this feeling telling me about my attachment to a past state of being? Am I clinging to a version of myself that was defined by that relationship? The dream forces you to confront these uncomfortable truths. It is a crucible for your self-worth. The X in your dream is an unconscious invitation to perform shadow work on a grand scale. The shadow is the unknown side of the personality, those inferior, rejected, and primitive parts of ourselves that we hide from the world, and more often, from ourselves. In the context of the X dream, the shadow manifests in two primary ways. First, the unintegrated parts of you that are represented by him, and second, the unexamined reasons why you chose him in the first place. Did you overlook red flags? Did you abandon your own boundaries and desires to please him? The dream is not about him being a bad guy. It's about the part of you that accepted less than you deserved. It's a call to examine your own complicity in a dynamic that was not serving you. This process is not about blame. It is about fierce, uncompromising self-honesty. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, this is the work. This is the path to freedom. The dream is a guide, not a prophecy. It is showing you the exact psychological location where your energy is still leaking, where your power is still held captive by the past. The woman who fully integrates this lesson is no longer a prisoner of her own history. She is a myth maker, rewriting the narrative of her life, not as a tragedy, but as an epic journey of self-discovery and triumph. Her dreams are no longer haunted by ghosts. They are populated by the archetypes of her own unfolding potential. What you must understand is that the dream is not just a replay of the past. It is a profound indicator of a present-day psychological state. It is a diagnosis from your inner physician, the unconscious, telling you where the blockages are. If the dream reenacts a specific conflict, it is a sign that a similar conflict, an echo of the original wound, is currently playing out in your life. Perhaps you are repeating old patterns with new people, seeking emotional validation from sources that are unavailable or unsuited to you. This is the danger of an unexamined inner world. You become a magnet for the very lessons you refuse to learn. The X is simply a stand-in, a familiar face on a new emotional stage. The dream is also a test of your self-worth. When a woman dreams of an X, a common temptation is to fall into a spiral of self-doubt. Am I not over him? Does this mean I'm still in love with him? These are the questions of the small self, the ego that is terrified of emotional vulnerability and would rather cling to a familiar pain than risk the unknown of true individuation. The empowered woman, the one engaged in her own psychological liberation, asks a different set of questions. She asks, what is this dream revealing about my current relationship with myself? What is the unfulfilled desire that this dream is symbolizing? Am I valuing myself enough in my waking life? The dream is a mirror, and the reflection it shows is not a man, but the state of your own heart. This is the Stoic lesson of internal detachment. You cannot control the appearance of a dream, just as you cannot control the actions of others, but you have absolute control over your reaction to it. You can choose to be a passive observer, letting the feelings of longing or confusion consume you, or you can be an active participant in your own emotional and psychological healing. You can use the dream as a prompt for reflection. Journal about the emotions you felt. Analyze the symbols and the setting. Ask yourself what part of your own power you may have given away in that past dynamic. This act of conscious analysis is an act of reclamation. It is the practice of pulling your energy back from the ghost of the past and investing it in the vibrant reality of your present and future. The X in your dream can also be a symbol of the discarded parts of your own femininity and masculinity. In every woman lies a balance of both. Perhaps in that relationship, you overdeveloped a more passive, receptive feminine energy and neglected your assertive, decisive, masculine energy. The dream is your psyche's way of showing you the imbalance. It's a call to integrate your inner masculine, to develop your own drive, your own sense of direction, and your own capacity for decisive action. The powerful woman knows that she doesn't need a man to provide these qualities. She cultivates them within herself. The dream is a blueprint for your own inner wholeness. It is showing you where the repair work needs to be done, where the bridges between the conscious and unconscious need to be built. The woman who truly understands this is no longer a victim of her past. She becomes the author of her own destiny. She sees the dream not as a curse or a sign of weakness, but as a gift. It is an act of deep intimacy with her own subconscious, a conversation with the wise, old self that knows the way forward. She knows that the man in the dream is not the destination, he is merely the map to her own buried treasure. The ultimate treasure is not a relationship, but the unshakable certainty of her own worth. This process of psychological homecoming, of using the dream as a guide, is where the true alchemy begins. The pain you once associated with the X, the feelings of rejection, abandonment, or sorrow, become the raw materials for your own transformation. You are no longer merely reacting to the dream, you are consciously participating in its meaning-making. This is the ultimate act of empowerment, taking control of your internal narrative. The woman who masters this is no longer defined by her romantic history. She defines herself. The Stoic principle of amor fati, the love of one's fate, is essential here. It's not about being happy that the past happened. It's about seeing the past, with all its heartache and struggle, as a necessary part of your journey. The pain of that old relationship was not a punishment. It was a catalyst. The dream of the X is a reminder of this truth. It is a signpost pointing to the crucible where you were forged into the woman you are today. The raw, emotional intensity of the dream is the universe's way of ensuring you do not forget the lessons learned. It is a fierce and loving push toward your own greatness. To fully integrate this understanding, you must practice a form of emotional and psychological detachment. This does not mean becoming cold or apathetic. It means severing the emotional cord that tethers you to the past, not out of bitterness, but out of a profound love for your own future. The dream is showing you where that cord still exists. Is it a cord of regret, of unresolved anger, of a misplaced sense of guilt? The work is to lovingly but firmly cut these threads. You do this by acknowledging the emotions, honoring the past for the role it played in your evolution, and then consciously choosing to release it. You can write a final letter to the X in your journal that you never send, a letter of release and closure. You can perform a ritual of symbolic severance. You can simply, in quiet meditation, visualize the cord being cut and your energy returning to you. The X in your dream can also be an archetypal representation of a part of your life that you need to grieve and let go of. It is not just about a man, but about a phase of your life, a version of yourself that no longer serves you. The person you were in that relationship, the one who was perhaps more timid, more insecure, more desperate for external validation, she must be mourned, honored for the lessons she learned, and then laid to rest. The dream is your subconscious performing this eulogy. It is showing you that a part of you has died, and it is inviting you to a rebirth. The woman who emerges from this process is not the same woman who entered it. She has descended into the depths of her own psyche, faced her ghosts, and returned with the gold of self-knowledge. Her dreams no longer hold power over her. She holds power over her dreams, understanding them as the sacred language of her own soul. She realizes that the greatest love story she will ever live is the one she is writing with herself. Her sense of worth is no longer a fragile thing, dependent on the gaze or validation of another. It is an internal, immovable fortress, built on the bedrock of her own resilience and self-awareness. She is a queen of her own inner kingdom, a warrior of her own heart. She knows that the true prize was never a man, but the discovery of her own unshakable worth. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.